You're listening to Swift News, your daily news briefing in just 10 minutes. This is episode 66, and it's July 2025. Let's get into today's stories. Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we dig into the day's key stories to give you the context behind the headlines.
It's great to be here.
Today, we're looking at the global landscape on July 2025. Our mission, as always, is to get you quickly up to speed on the big events, politics, economics, tech, human stories, and really connect the dots.
Yeah, see what it all means.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this.
It's a really interesting mix today. You can see how political moves directly hit markets, but also how humanitarian issues are unfolding right alongside them.
Absolutely. Feels like a lot is happening all at once.
Yeah.
So let's start with global politics and trade. A big piece of news. U.S. President Trump delaying those 25% tariffs on Japan and South Korea.
Right, pushed back to August 15th.
So what was the immediate effect? Did the markets react?
Oh, definitely. There was this sort of sigh of relief. We saw India's Nifty 50 climb 0.4% to 25,700. And the U.S. S&P 500 was up too, 0.2% to 5,800. Mostly led by banking stocks. You know, investors kind of reassessing things. Now there's a bit less uncertainty, at least for now.
For now, yeah. It shows how sensitive everything is to these announcements.
It really does. Global finance is just, well, it hangs on these political wins. Every delay, every threat, it sends ripples.
So a breather on that front. But is it just a pause? Because it feels like other trade tensions are actually heating up.
That's exactly it. While that cools down, China just introduced new tariffs on EU brandy.
Brandy? How much are we talking?
It affects about $1 billion in exports. So yeah, not small change.
$1 billion. Wow. So it's like a chess game, isn't it? One move here, another move there?
Precisely. It's strategic. Using tariffs as leverage in these bigger economic battles, it shows the competition is, well, definitely still ongoing.
So China's sending a message to the EU.
A very clear one. They're willing to retaliate even while dealing with the U.S. situation. It's complex. But it's not just about trade wars. There's diplomacy happening, too. India made some significant moves.
Oh, yeah. What's happening there?
Well, at the BRICS summit in Rio, Prime Minister Modi secured India's leadership role for 2026.
Okay, BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. A major economic bloc.
Exactly. And Modi was really pushing for climate and trade reforms, positioning India as a key player. It's about, shaping that future global economic landscape.
Interesting. So India's raising its profile. Meanwhile, away from the economics, what about humanitarian efforts? There were talks about Gaza.
Yes, the ceasefire talks in Qatar got extended, and that extension wasn't just symbolic.
What happened on the ground?
Crucially, it allowed aid to reach about 350,000 residents. That's a direct impact, a lifeline, really, showing how diplomacy can make a tangible difference, even with fragile truces.
That's vital progress. But unfortunately, there's also some deeply concerning news elsewhere.
Yeah, very sobering. In Kenya, tragically, 10 people were killed during pro-democracy protests in Nairobi.
10 people. That's terrible. It sparks major human rights concerns globally, obviously.
Absolutely. A stark reminder of the risks people take fighting for democratic freedoms.
And closer to home for some listeners, in India, another tragedy, Cuddalore.
Yes, a train hit a school van at a crossing. 3 children lost their lives.
Just awful. It immediately raises questions about infrastructure safety, doesn't it? Especially at railway crossings.
It really highlights those vulnerabilities. How are we ensuring safety where public transport meets daily life? It forces a hard look at infrastructure investment and management.
So what does this all mean? When you put these pieces together, the trade maneuvers, the diplomacy, the protests, the accidents.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it shows this constant tension. Global markets react to high-level decisions, but underneath it all, human safety, human rights, basic needs, these remain critical challenges impacted by both those big decisions and, local failures or events. It's a complex picture of progress and persistent problems.
A really complex tapestry, yeah. But let's shift gears a bit. Amidst these challenges, there's also incredible innovation and resilience. Technology and the human spirit finding ways forward, especially dealing with disasters.
And what's fascinating here is how quickly tech is being put to work. It's not just theoretical anymore, it's actually saving lives.
Like in Japan, right? They're using drones extensively for disaster response now.
Exactly. Active in 90% of prefectures, they're improving response times, finding people, getting supplies where they're needed most. It's practical, life-saving tech in action.
And then there's AI. helping predict disasters.
Yes, a U.S. startup has an AI hurricane model that's significantly improving forecasts. Really timely, too, with Tropical Storm Chantal hitting the Carolinas.
So better warning means better preparation.
Potentially days more warning. That can make all the difference for evacuations, for saving lives. But the innovation isn't just in disaster tech. Healthcare, connectivity, huge leaps there, too.
Tell me about that. South Korea's AI in healthcare.
Yeah, an AI platform there is boosting diagnostic capabilities for 1 million patients. Faster analysis, potentially more accurate diagnoses. It's leveraging AI to make healthcare more efficient.
1 million patients.
Oh.
It's quite a scale. And Japan's working on 6G.
Oh, yeah. Trials hitting 210 gigabits per second.
Which is incredibly fast.
Yeah.
Like movie download in under a second fast.
Basically, yeah. But think beyond downloads. 6G could enable things like real-time remote surgery, truly immersive VR for education or training. It's about merging the digital and physical worlds seamlessly. They're aiming for deployment around 2030.
Wow. And India's active in space tech, too.
Definitely. They're getting valuable data from Shubhanshu Shukla's experiments on the ISS part of the private Axiom 4 mission. It shows how commercial spaceflight is really pushing research forward in materials, medicine, all sorts of fields.
Incredible ingenuity. But even with all this tech, nature's power is still a huge challenge. We're seeing devastating floods.
Yeah, the news from Central Texas is grim. 100 lives lost, 30 missing. Just devastating floods.
And in India as well.
Yes, a cloudburst in Uttarkashi, 32 people reported dead, and warnings of more heavy rain in Uttarakhand. It's a stark reminder of the increasing frequency of these extreme weather events globally.
It really is sobering. But
Right.
are there examples of solutions, ways people are adapting?
There are pockets of resilience. Like a U.S. scientist developed flood-resistant infrastructure that's already helping about 9,000 residents in Texas.
How does that work, basically?
Often involves things like new building materials, designs that elevate structures, ways to divert water, making communities better able to withstand these events.
That's crucial work. And on the environmental front, some positive news, too.
Definitely. Canada's solar farms, for instance, now power 2.7 million homes. That's a significant cut in emissions, showing large-scale renewables are viable.
That's huge.
And Brazil's Amazon reforestation efforts are making real progress. 14 million trees planted just this year, a vital step against deforestation and climate change.
So large-scale efforts, but also individual initiatives making a difference. Here's where it gets really interesting.
What's fascinating here is seeing that grassroots impact. You mentioned a Kenyan engineer.
Yeah, developed a solar-powered irrigation system. It's boosting crop yields for 13,000 farmers. That's individual ingenuity creating widespread change.
It absolutely is. And you see similar things elsewhere. An Indian teacher in Gujarat started a STEM program, now empowering 11,000 students, giving them skills for the future.
Amazing.
Or a Brazilian doctor running a mobile clinic, reaching 10,000 people in remote Amazon communities with essential healthcare they wouldn't otherwise get. These aren't just nice stories. They show practical solutions working on the ground.
Absolutely. Real impact from individuals.
Uh,
Okay, let's round things out with some global achievements in sports and culture. Always good to celebrate those moments of human excellence and connection.
yeah, it shows the sheer talent and creativity out there.
Definitely some big wins in sports. India's cricket team is on fire, leading England 2-0 in the Anderson Tendulkar Trophy after a huge win in Birmingham.
A dominant performance. And history made in Indian tennis, too. Yuki Bhamri reached the Wimbledon men's doubles final.
That's fantastic. A huge moment for him and for tennis in India.
Absolutely. Plus, Neeraj Chopra's success at the Bengaluru Classic continues to inspire young athletes across India.
And elsewhere.
Brazil's women's soccer team notched a solid 2-0 World Cup qualifier win, always strong. And Kenya's men's marathon team broke another record, this time at a meet in London. Just incredible endurance.
A great showcase of global sporting talent. Now, shifting to culture.
Big news from Bollywood. Houseful 5 foot crossed the 500 crore mark at the box office.
Which is roughly 60 million US dollars.
Around that, yes. A massive blockbuster, largely thanks to Akshay Kumar's star power, shows Bollywood's huge domestic and growing international appeal.
And beyond Bollywood.
Nigeria's film industry, Nollywood, had a festival in London that drew 140,000 people.
Wow, 140,000. That's incredible reach for Nollywood cinema.
Shows the global appetite for diverse stories. And on a different note, there's a New York art exhibit focused on climate consciousness that's getting worldwide attention. Art tackling the big issues.
Culture as a platform for dialogue.
Exactly. And finally, we can't forget Japan's anime industry. still booming, reporting $5.5 billion in global revenue. It's a massive cultural export now, influencing trends everywhere.
So much happening across the
A
board.
really vibrant cultural scene globally.
Okay, so wrapping up our deep dive for July 8th, 2025. We've covered a lot, from tricky trade talks and market reactions to life-saving tech, the harsh realities of climate change, and these amazing moments in sports and culture.
It really shows how interconnected everything is, doesn't it? The big political decisions, the individual struggles and triumphs, the tech breakthroughs.
It certainly does. You see how much you can learn just by looking closely at a single day's news?
And maybe this raises an important question for you, our listener. How do these seemingly disparate global events truly shape our daily lives? And maybe what role do we play in understanding and responding to them?
That's a great question to reflect on. We hope this deep dive gave you some valuable insights and maybe sparked some curiosity to keep exploring these connections.
Keep asking questions.
It's exactly. Stay curious, stay informed, and join us next time for another deep dive.